Alright, so today's task, we are going to put in a ceiling light. This is a DMF DRD5S. It's a little LED light, low profile. I actually have them in a couple spots. You can see that one there. Yeah, they're kind of gridded out in here. This last one, you can see where that circle is where we're going to put this one. I didn't put that one in with all the others because I wanted to get all the cabinets and everything up first. And so that's today's task. A couple tools that we'll need: have a ceiling retrofit box, the drill with a 4-inch hole saw to cut the hole, and obviously your light, some of your electrical stuff, and we'll kind of go over all that in some more detail. I did put some rags down to help protect some of the surfaces and help control some of that dust. So my first thing is I measured out where this would go, and I taped this up here just to see how it would lay out, to make sure I like where it's at. So if we take that off, we have I have a mark here where we're gonna drill. So I'm gonna get the drill and we will get started. All right, so we got our hole marked out, 4-inch hole saw. Wear some safety goggles or some safety glasses, because when you go through this, there's gonna be dust and everything else, so you don't wanna get all that stuff in your eyes. So we're just gonna drill this hole and we'll put it in the retrofit box. So line it up, kind of start out slowly to make sure you're in the right spot there, and then just go for it. And all done. Went through the beadboard paneling and some drywall, and then you can see the fiberglass insulation up there. So the next thing is going to be our retrofit box. So make sure your flanges are all the way up and they're folded in. You just push this up inside here. It's going to be a tight fit with that 4-inch, and so you might have to kind of mess with it a little bit to get it to work out. All right, so we're going to fit that box in there. With the little wings out here, it can get a little tough, and so if you take just a small crowbar, you can kind of wedge it up there. I like them to be tight. You could get a little bit bigger hole saw, but I would much rather have to get it in there tightly and make sure it's not going to ever fall out. If you're going to use a little persuasion, use a rubber mallet. If you use a regular hammer, you're going to end up busting it. So you can give it a little tap. You can see now it's going right up there, nice and flush. Now that it's up there, we want to tighten this flange. So when you turn these screws, that'll turn that flange at 90 degrees and it'll pull it down. So you want to go somewhat slow, because the last thing you want to do is strip out these plastic pieces. If you're not comfortable doing it with a drill, that's completely understandable. Then use a screwdriver. So you just kind of go until you feel a little resistance, and then you stop. And then the same thing on this side. Kind of push up a little bit so that that screw goes up, and then once you feel some resistance, you stop. And now same thing on this side. And then we're good. You can give it a little tug. When I go up on top, we'll double check that those flanges are where they need to be. So now we're going to go up in the attic and we're going to fish down the electrical line. All right, so we're up in the attic. This is my electrical line. That's that box we just put in. So you can see the flanges are out and they're tight. So what we got to do is, over here there's accesses. So we're going to pop one of those open. You just push on it, kind of springs, and we're going to feed this line through. Now this line is a lot longer than it needs to be, but I didn't bring up any snips, so we're just going to feed the whole thing in. Make sure your electrical is off. I did test it before I did anything with it, so make sure your switch is off and everything's good there. So as you kind of push that in, you can feed these wires in. Just like that. And then just going to feed this whole thing down. I'm going to put the insulation back in, and then we will proceed with wiring up that light. Like I said, it's a lot longer than it needs to be, but that's all right. We junctioned into another light that was down there. I'm not going to show you how to do that, because if you don't know how to do that, you might not want to be doing this. Alright, so now that is fed in there, like I said, we're going to put that insulation back, and we'll continue from below. Alright, we're back underneath, and what we're going to do is get our light installed. So first thing is we can cut this down to length. We don't need a lot of wires, so we're just going to cut it down a couple inches past the box here and put the rest off to the side. So to get to the wires, cut the plastic sleeve that's encasing them. Use a utility knife, kind of slice down, kind of pull them out. Even when it's up there, you can use the utility knife, or if you have a pair of snips handy, use the snips. And then we're going to strip the wires. You don't need a lot, you know, just a little bit will do you. This is 12 gauge. So we'll just grab a little bit on both of those. Alright, so now that that's done, we're going to put in our mounting plate for the light, which is this black piece. And if you'll notice, you kind of fit that in. If you rotate it around, you'll find the spot where it kind of clicks in and matches up with the two holes. So they came with a little bag of screws that we're going to need, and so you just kind of open those up. You can use a screwdriver or the drill. I'm a fan of the drill. So put this in, line it up, and again, always make sure your electricity's off. Test those wires. I did that all before I started messing with it. So we'll get that in there. And again, you don't want to crank these down. You just want them in there far enough that's going to hold it into place. If you crank it down, these are plastic boxes, so you're going to strip it out, and then you're going to get extremely mad at yourself. You know, that one just came off, so I'm going to back it down a smidge so I can fit this over. And just press it up there and start cranking this down. Ultimately, you just want that tight up in there. And go just a little more. Alright, so now we're good. Now the way these boxes work is this light has these springs on there. You just push it up and it clicks into place. So first we're gonna wire it up, you know, black to black, white to white, green with. All right, so this time, I mean, it's not tricky, but it's kind of annoying because you gotta kind of hold it into place. Put the two together so the ends are matching up, and then just take your wire nut and spin it on. Just keep turning it until it gets kind of tight. And you give a little, I like to give a little tug on it just to make sure none of them come out. And leave that dangle. Grab this nut, do the same thing. A little tug, good to go. And the last one here, our ground. Always use a ground. If you have old wiring that doesn't have a ground, connect it to like a metal box or something. Do something to keep it grounded. That way electricity has somewhere to go in case there's an issue. I think I got a bad nut here. Let me grab a different one. All right, so we're good. So now it's all wired. So I am gonna go turn the electric on, and that should light right up. All right, we have electricity, so I'm gonna turn it back off. So we can tuck those wires up in there. and get the box into place. So you just gotta take them, you can bend the wires some and shove them up there. You want the nuts to be up as high as possible and off to the side so it's out of the way of this black casing part. So you use your hand, you can use pliers, whatever works out best for you. Just make sure they're up as high as possible and off to the side, out of the way. So I know some of these other ones I had to finagle it around a couple different times to get it to be clear. So then tuck, clicks into place, and let's turn it back on. And we are all set. Light is installed, working, and now we just got to clean up, and the project is complete. Start to finish, this took maybe a half an hour with the filming and explaining some things and running back and forth getting the tools. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please put them in the notes and comments below, and hit subscribe, like, all that jazz, and we will see you later.